Welcome everyone. Our today's topic is literary terms. This is one of the most important topic if you are going to appear for UGC-NET exam. So today we bring some of the most important literary terms which would be useful for you in case of UGC-NET. And the very first in this we are having here is this literary terms, and I am Deepak, Assistant Professor, Mahatma Gandhi Central University. And we will, instead of wasting much time, let's start. And first that we have is the kitchen sink drama. And in art, it started in art, and in art, kitchen sink drama was a term used by the critic David Sylvester to describe painters who depicted social realist type scenes of domestic life. A British cultural movement that developed in 1950s and early 60s in theatre, art, novels, film, and television plays. Its protagonist usually could be described as angry young men. These were disillusioned with the modern society. It used a type of social realism which depicted the domestic situations of those working class Britons living in cramped, rented accommodation. These were spending their off hours drinking in grimy pubs to explore controversial and political issues ranging from abortion to homelessness. The harsh, realistic style contrasts too sharply with the escapism of previous generations called well-made plays. John Osborne's Look Back in Anger is thought of as the first of its genre. The gritty love triangle, for example, takes place in a cramped one-room flat in the English Midland. Similarly, Sarah Danley's A Taste of Honey is about a teenage schoolgirl who has an affair with a black sailor, gets pregnant, and then moves in with a gay male acquaintance. It raises issues such as class, race, gender, and sexual orientation. This is the whole about this kitchen sink drama. Here, important is who gave the term, and David Sylvester. Confessional poetry. Confessional poetry is a dear subject of UGC-NET, and you can find in 1959, M.L. Rothenthal first used the term confessional in a review of Robert Lowell's Life Studies entitled Poetry as Confession. Life Studies is a magazine. An autobiographical mode of verse is that reveals the poet's personal problem with the unusual frankness. The term usually applies to certain poets of US from the late 1950s and 60s, notably Robert Lowell, whose Life Studies, and for Union Death, 1964, deal with the divorce and mental breakdowns. Lowell's candor had been encouraged in part by that of the gay poet Allen Ginsberg in Howl, and by intensely personal poetry of Theodore Roth. Other important examples of confessional poetry are Anne Sexton's To Bedlam and Part Back, 1960s, All My Pretty Ones, including poems on abortion and life in mental hospitals. John Berryman's Dream Song on alcoholism and insanity, Sylvia Plath's poem on suicide in Ariel, and W.D. Snodgrass' Heart's Needle on his divorce are some of important examples. If you are looking for Indian, then Kamala Das is one of the foremost confessional poet. Beat generation is a third term. Jack Kerouac introduced the phrase beat generation in 1948 to characterize a perceived underground anti-conformist youth movement in New York. It is a literary movement started by a group of authors whose work explored and influenced American culture and politics in the post-war era. The bulk of their work was published and popularized through 1950s. The central element of beat culture are the rejection of standard narrative values, making a spiritual quest and exploration of American and Eastern religions. The rejection of materialism, explicit portrayal of human condition, experimentation with psychiatric research, and sexual liberation and exploration. Some of the important writers here are Kenneth Roth, Henry Miller, William S. Burroughs, Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, Gregory Corso, and Gary Snyder. Among them, Allen Ginsberg, Howl, William Burroughs, Neck Lunch, and Jack Kerouac on the Road are the most popular example of beat literature. Existentialism. In the 1950s, it is another more important work, and the term is coined by Gabriel Marcel. The term directly or indirectly associated with several names like Soren Kierkegaard, Carl Jasper, Martin Heidegger, Jean-Paul Sartre, Gabriel Marcel, Samuel Beckett, Iris Murdoch, Andrew Sinclair, David Canty, Colin Wilson, Albert Camus, Simone de Beauvoir. These famous names are defining existentialism. It is a current philosophy distinguished by its emphasis on the lived human existence. Although it had an important precursor in Danish theologian Soren Kierkegaard in 1940s, and its impact was fully felt only in mid-20th century in France and Germany. The German philosopher Heidegger and Jaspers prepared some ground in 1920s and 30s. And Jean-Paul Sartre and other French existentialists, including Simone de Beauvoir, Albert Camus, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, strengthened it. In terms of literary impact, the thought of Sartre has been the most significant, present in novels, notably La Nausea, 1938, and play including Les Marches, The Flies, as well as the major philosophical work, Alan Trent, Being and Nothingness. The most popular text in this sense is Albert Camus' Outsider, a stranger, that also defines a person who is out of world and not listen to everyone, and that L stranger or the outsider has given one of the most important opening of literature that begins with something, mother died today or maybe yesterday, I don't know. I had a telegram from home, mother died, come home, yours sincerely. So this shows how non-existentialist type of person he was, and it is totally absurd kind of thing. Closet drama is the next term. Closet drama is a play that is not intended to be performed on stage, but read by solitary reader to a small group. The contrast between closet drama and classical stage drama date back to 19th century. Although non-performative in nature, closet drama is, according to Henry Abers, a quite legitimate product of literary art. Algernon Charles Swinburne's Atlanta in Clyden is an example of it. Other examples are Milton's Samson Agonists, Byron's Manfred, Shelley's Prometheus Unbound, and Hardy's Dynast. Closet plays are more successful as literature than acted drama. Agitprop. It is more like a political propaganda, especially the communist propaganda used in Soviet Russia, that is spread to the general public through popular media such as literature, plays, pamphlet, film, or other art forms with an explicitly political message. The term originated in Soviet Russia as shortened name for the Department of Agitation and Propaganda, which was part of central and regional committees of Communist Party of the Soviet Union. It gave rise to agitprop theater, a highly politicized theater that originated in 1920s Europe and spread to the US. The plays of Baltham Brecht are example. Gradually, the term agitprop come to describe any kind of highly political art or work. And here in the picture, you can see the time around the World War, and the picture is showing "I want you," and its finger that can pointing to the person looking at it. So that doesn't matter from which side you look at this picture, the finger is only at your end. And this is for the US Army enlist now. So this time, this picture is saying recruit yourself to army to fight with the enemy, and that is during World War, mostly Germany, and similar World War II. So these pictures are part of these pamphlet and others. Many of movies are also part of this agitprop, and this picture defining more of its political value. Next is Angry Young Man. And Angry Young Man is a movement again 1950s and 60s. Its most important writers are Jonas Byrne, Kingsley Amis, Alan Sillitoe, John Wayne, John Bryan. These are mostly working and middle class British playwright and novelists, although these authors denied that they do not belong to this group. The thing about Angry Young Man movement is that it is in two parts. One is novels and second is in drama. And the phrase is invented by the Royal Court Theatre's press officer in order to promote John Osborne's 1950s play Look Back in Anger. It is the phrase is derived from the autobiography of Leslie Pohl, whose Angry Young Man was published in the year 1951. John Osborne's play Look Back in Anger attract attention to a style of drama contrasting strongly with the gentle and unstained works of Terence Rattigan that had been in fashion. And these Angry Young Men are different, and like John Bryan, Room at the Top, it's perfect example where hero is not been able to decide to whom he loved, either the person with whom he's staying or the rich girl with whom he can spend a very important, very comfortable life. Although he chose the later one, and the earlier died of suicide or separation. So the Angry Young Men are not happy with the societal situation, and they choose a life of comfort because World War II has given a life that is more disturbing, and hence their works are often defined angry young men, and the hero are also very angry, and hence the term angry young man. Lost generation. That is, the lost generation is related to those poets who were young around World War One, and most of these playwrights or the novelists were those who were born in the 19th century, at the close of 19th century. And if we look at its author, Ernest Hemingway, William Faulkner, Scott Fitzgerald, John Donne Passos, and Sinclair Lewis. These are the lost generation. Their subject is mostly the post-war and the impact on people. And the hero also defined the life he had on the war front. The good thing about this generation is that at least three novelists are winner of Nobel Prize: Ernest Hemingway, William Faulkner, and Sinclair Lewis. Although Scott's novels are most popular as a lost generation author, but he died young, and as per the rule, he cannot get Nobel because it is not given to a dead person. And at least we have three writers, Nobel Prize winner, and lost generation term is given by Gertrude Stein. And the point about its popularization is through the epigraph of some also rises, 1926. It is a novel. It is a work by Ernest Hemingway, and the phrase quote, "You are all a lost generation." And in case of example, we are having The Sun Also Rises, and Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, where Gatsby is returning from war and he become rich, and that is the whole thing that we have from literary terms, and this is what we have for today. Similarly, like the previous videos, we will come with another good essays. Till then, take care, goodbye. If you like the video, do subscribe to our channel. Till then, take care, goodbye.